Hey guys, this is Brad and Mike from Dallas Geek, and we are coming... Hey guys.
Just go.
Ah!
Yay.
Hey guys, this is Brad and Mike from Dallas Geek, and we are here to talk about our overview from Fan Expo Dallas.
2018, in case anybody had any questions.
Yeah. I think we're going to go ahead and put that in the title of the video, so hopefully that'll be clear.
Okay, I feel that's probably fair.
Maybe. Yeah. So, what exactly did we think of the convention this year? I think we kind of had some mixed feelings about it. Normally, I would
Number one, I don't understand why the weather is always shitty this weekend. Last year it poured on us. This year a cold front came in and dropped it to like 30 degrees on Saturday.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
Like literally Friday during the day it was 70. It dropped down to 50 Friday night, then it was 30 all day Saturday, then it bumped up to like 50 on Sunday, then it was 70 on Monday.
It's not okay.
What the hell?
It's not okay, guys.
Because parking's a pain in the ass down there.
Oh.
And
ugh.
I ain't gonna pay to park down there.
No.
Which means I gotta walk like probably a fourth of a mile from the dart station.
Yeah. So that's just a beating.
In 30-degree weather. That shit ain't fun.
It's not okay.
No.
But
okay, let me get off my soapbox.
In all seriousness, though, I'd say that most years, to be able to say that Fan Expo was a mixed experience is usually pretty normal.
Yes.
This year was definitely no exception.
Well, we didn't have as much fun because we were working.
Well...
Wait, I'm sorry. Working. We didn't get paid.
No. Paid? What? What's that?
We're not getting paid for this shit.
So, yeah, I would
Unless
say...
more people start following us.
Subscribe.
Worth a try. Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
no, so I would say that one of the best aspects of the convention this year was that it had a very social feel to it that previous fan expos haven't really been able to capitalize on.
I don't know if that's
all the people have been there, and there's always conversations going on, but it did feel like there were more spontaneous group conversations with brand new people than most years, especially over in the cosplay area. That was a very popular spot for people to just randomly start meeting each other, and because there was actually enough space for the cosplay section compared to years past, there was room to do that. It wasn't squeeze in there and hope that you're not going to be trampled while you're attempting to have a conversation.
by Jessica Negri's fans.
Oh, good lord.
Let's specify who it was that would have been trampling you.
Her fans were abundant this year, rightfully so.
And last year.
But my gosh, she was popular.
Rightfully so.
But yeah, no, so it was definitely it felt like a more social convention than it's been in years past.
Right.
But part of that could also be chalked up to the fact that there was fewer things to actually do.
Yes.
There were fewer panels, there were fewer things to be going and experiencing, so to make up for it, the social side kind of had to take over.
Right.
Which, like I said, honestly, that's fine. In all honesty, I think most people, when they look back on their favorite convention experiences, it's almost always going to be the social experiences and not so much, I got to go to this panel. It's going to be long term. It's always going to be, I made these friends. I got to meet these really cool people. And that's fine. That's exactly what these things were built on.
Yeah.
So honestly, even though it wasn't Fan Expo's intention, technically they caused it. So we have to give them kudos for that, sort of.
Technically they hit a home run?
Meh.
Sorry, I'm sure that reference went over a lot of your nerds' heads. Like the one sitting next to me.
You and these sports references. I guess you kind of have to say the de facto good for this year was the layout was better than last year, so the crowds didn't get as congested.
It's also because they were using a different part of the convention center,
which was wider, and so it gave people actually room to move, and the main hallway outside of the convention hall was very wide, and so once again, more people had room to move.
Right. On top of that, they had the panels. The majority of the panels were upstairs. They actually had a third level that they could actually utilize this year, which was awesome. Part
of the issue last year was that even when they had panels going on to try to get people taken out of the main flow of traffic, they were right off of the main hall. So anybody that was coming or going was all part of the same crowd. This year, because the panels were primarily upstairs with a couple others spread around, the people that were going to those panels were physically taken out of the flow of traffic because they were on an entirely different floor. So it actually helped a lot.
Which was awesome. The layout for the actual exhibit hall was actually a lot better this year in terms of they actually had stuff sectioned off accordingly.
It was a little less chaotic for trying to find stuff.
Now, it did kind of suck that they put cosplay on the same level as the autographs.
Which, in a way, they sort of did that last year, but sort of not since technically it was more you had to pass through cosplay to get to the autographs.
Right.
But it also was a bit sucky that even though the cosplay had more room, it was still kind of in a corner.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to be able to get there, you had to be intentional about it. There was no, I stumbled upon it.
Right. But I did like the fact that those were down off of the main exhibit hall floor.
Yeah, it gave a little bit more space for everybody.
Right, because the main exhibit hall floor this year was your vendors,
your artists,
your vendors, your artist alley, which was off in its own section of the exhibit hall floor too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
The main theater,
which we'll also talk about in a second.
The tattoo zone. Which we'll also talk about in a second.
Okay, so compared to the one tattoo booth I think they had last year, maybe two.
No, they had a couple last year.
They actually gave that whole section a proper space this year, and it wasn't just kind of in the back where even the vendors that were literally right next door didn't know that they were there was a tattoo booth there. Right. So they just kept saying honestly, we had this with multiple vendors last year tell us that, wait, there's a tattoo booth right over there? That's what that buzzing sound was.
That's what I was going to say.
I thought the lights were busted.
The only reason we even knew about it is because we were walking around. And I was like, "What the hell is that buzzing sound?"
Yeah.
And we just rounded a corner, and I was like, "Oh shit, they're doing tattoos over here."
Yeah. Whereas this year, it was actually advertised.
They had a giant ceiling hang
that said tattoos.
That was a tattoo zone. Yeah. Which they had for cosplay.
And each of the tattoo booths not only were given enough space so that you could see it as you were coming up to it, but they were given enough room for signage.
Right.
So you could see not only it was tattoos, but which company each tattoo artist was with and who the tattoo artist was. Yep. And there was even room for a couple of them to be able to have full stand-up easels to show off their some of their sketches.
Which is cool.
Which was really nice because that was even more helpful than just having their full sketchbook out.
Right.
So it was... the sketchbooks were great, but the easels even served as another form of advertising to say, hey, this is going to be something that you can see from down the hall rather than you have to be up against the table. So they were better thinking that part through this year, which was fantastic.
Very much so.
And honestly, since there were enough people that have been waiting for tattoo artists to be able to be given more opportunity at this convention here, last year was enough of a surprise for the people that were hoping for it to happen. This was a big step forward for them.
Should we tell them why we're spending so much time talking about tattoo artists?
Well, if you didn't already see the video or the Instagram posts or
Facebook posts
or anything, Mike,
is it gonna pick it up?
Ugh. Mike got his first tattoo. He's no longer a tattoo virgin. Good job.
I'm gonna need you to rephrase that.
You popped your tattoo cherry?
I'm really gonna need you to rephrase that shit. Yes, I would like to thank my terrible partner in crime here.
I didn't convince him to do it. I simply agreed with him and got video.
Yeah, number one, that's bullshit because I never agreed to the video.
Hey. You agreed when you became part of this.
Okay, when are you gonna get your tattoo?
It's coming.
I feel like I've been hearing that shit for 30 years. So I have to thank Brad for this. I also have to thank our friend Kyla, who took advantage of the fact that Brad, let it be known that...
Thank you, Kyla.
Yes, Brad, let it be known that once I'm nudged with peer pressure, I'll do damn near anything.
Not near. You will do anything.
Shut up.
We've tested this theory before.
Have we?
High school. High school was the big testing ground for that.
I don't remember so much of high school. I've drank a lot since then.
Well, you drank a lot then too, so, but shh. Family friendly.
Really?
Well,
yeah, so
what else?
I got a tattoo, that was a thing. But I think that kind of falls into the social aspect that you were talking about.
Yeah, because I mean, we had a great time interacting with the other people at the tattoo booths. Mike, you got a chance to talk to not only the tattoo artist for a little bit, and
I talked to the guy.
Girlfriend, but the girl that was actually in the booth next to you, getting her next tattoo.
Because I'm going to do my next tattoo is going to be one that she already had.
Her previous tattoo,
which was actually awesome.
Such a kick-ass, like half and half Winter Soldier
star,
Captain America.
Yeah.
Which was, oh my gosh.
I saw that and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that one next. So that was cool.
That was cool.
I also talked to the guy that was doing her tattoo because I was wearing my AJ Styles shirt because it was WrestleMania Sunday.
Yep.
And we literally just went down the entire card of WrestleMania as I was sitting there filling out the paperwork.
Which, I mean, it's cool to be able to talk to some of the other convention goers. It's even cooler.
Like, it was out of the blue too. Like, I was just sitting there, he's
some
like,
of the guys that are there setting up shop. I mean,
like, why
not?
I was standing there and he's like, so you think Nakamura or Styles? I was like, you follow wrestling? Okay, let's go.
Okay, now that crosses family friendly.
Whatever.
Good job.
Not my problem.
I hate you so much right now.
But we spent a lot of time down in the cosplay alley. Because that was also where they had the 501st was set up down there. There was a couple of other things that were set up down there.
Astromech.net.
Thank you.
I keep forgetting their name. The Star Wars Mercenaries.
Yes. Yeah.
And of course the Rebel Legion, and there was that booth that had the
DeLorean.
The DeLorean,
which I never got back to get my picture taken.
Yep. Plus a couple others booths that had like full props set up to actually be used for the sake of photo ops. Like there was the dropship from Halo. You had
the Batmobile.
The Batmobile.
The Nolan Batmobile.
Yeah, the Tumbler. You had the speeder bike from Return of the Jedi.
Oh, you also had the snow speeder.
Yes, snow speeder, as well as the land speeder from New Hope. Oh, plus you had not one, but two back-to-back rows of themed backdrops that you could use for
just pictures and...
Which is great because it had a full range of, sci-fi that looked like was probably meant to be a Mass Effect knockoff to some fantasy castles.
So Mass Effect Andromeda, basically.
Well, some fantasy castles, some post-apocalyptic stuff. I mean, just a lot of really fun things to be able to give you a bit more theme to your pictures than just convention.
There. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it worked out.
So.
Oh, and they also had the Jeep from Jurassic Park.
Yes, they did.
Yep.
Yes, they did.
Yep.
They had laser tag.
A small little setup, a little quick setup, which was fun. It had its place, and it was at least nice that they were trying something different.
Right. They had laser tag. They had tabletop setups. They really should have done the video game setup both days. They only did it Saturday,
which was unfortunate because that was
I was ready
to that would have been very popular.
I was ready to wreck some nerds and smash.
That would have been much more popular than what they ended up having.
Yeah. Like if I'm not mistaken, I think all the video game stuff was Saturday and they literally just cleared it out for Sunday, which was a shame.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to go murder people.
Although I will say that compared to the board game setup that they had downstairs, that was the official for the convention, the board game setup that was just off of the main hall that Heroic Inner Kids had seemed a bit more popular.
Yeah.
Granted, they also had more easy access.
Right.
But, I mean, in general, if you're going to be trying to go down to a dark hallway that has, maybe a few rooms set up for board games in general, or you're going to be going to just play board games to support a fantastic charity, a lot of people are, of course, going to be going for the better charitable side.
Yep. Sorry, nerds. Go hang out in the dark.
Well, and that's the thing. Even even all the nerds of all varieties were taking advantage of the Heroic Inner Kids. Because I mean, honestly, if you have not been introduced to them yet, or they're suddenly blanking on the name, but they have a new partner program that is responsible for the gaming, while Heroic Inner Kids does the cosplay, or I could have it reversed. I'll go back and double check my notes, but because I did interview them.
No, he didn't.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where they know what they're good at. They have their setup, and they did it well. So if anybody's going to be getting attention, it's going to be them compared to, a half-assed attempt by the convention.
So, and then we also, it was half-assed.
It's true. It's true.
Do you want to go into that before we start talking about everybody that we hung out with?
No. Let's keep it positive. Let's keep it positive.
Sure?
Yeah.
I feel like we should end on a positive.
Okay, fair enough.
And since you brought up the half-ass attempt anyway, I feel like that's a natural transition.
So okay, we're going to go ahead and talk about...
Segue!
We're going to go ahead and talk about the negatives about this convention, but because we don't want to be those guys that just start to go very negative about all the stuff we didn't like about the convention, we are going to try our best to frame any of the negative elements with how we believe it should have or could have been fixed.
Not that anybody's going to listen to us.
And keep in mind, our suggestions are not just going to be our opinions. They're going to be what other more successful conventions have done that worked and continue to work, that for whatever reason Fan Expo has been ignoring. And because we really appreciate what Fan Expo has to offer and what they're trying to do.
We do?
Yeah. They are the biggest convention in the state of Texas and probably the southern U.S. Maybe. I mean, MegaCon Florida could be
I was about to say, bigger. I think that'd be the... But
still... I mean, at least with our section of the southern U.S. And honestly, we want it to be good, and we've seen the elements where it showed promise in the past, and even now. So we know that they can. We have a lot of hope that they'll listen to the fans eventually. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. We'll see.
And our opinions are the only ones that matter, so...
I mean, it is our podcast.
Yeah. Everybody else can go to hell. Was that out loud?
The most obvious thing, like literally the most obvious to anybody that was there for even half a second. While the layout of the convention floor was better than last year, it was not good.
No. There were good aspects.
Yes. So number one, the main aisle from end to end of the convention floor was more narrow than it has been in years past, which meant if you were trying to get from one end of the floor to the other,
good luck.
It was a lot harder. Number two, the main theater / main stage.
I think this is both of our biggest complaints.
So they tried to, when you look at the floor plan, they tried to make it seem like they gave us more space this year because the halls that they held for the convention are bigger than what they used last year. That is true.
Word.
However, they took about a quarter of F Hall and cut that off and made that into the main stage.
And by cut it off, they had giant curtains up. Went in there, they had chairs.
Yeah,
that was your stage.
And then
that was your...
next to it, there was another cordoned off section that I can only assume was meant for some kind of panels, but we never actually saw it used. So I'm not really sure what it was for.
No.
There were chairs, there was a seating area, there were tables, but don't know what was being used for.
It was a whole shitload of floor space that wasn't being used. That's what it was.
Yeah, and there was even space behind it that wasn't being used. Don't know why, but it was.
Like that was the thing that when you showed me the layout,
it made no sense.
No.
And so...
like none. Legitimately less than none.
When you took the square footage of that area out of the overall, the convention hall actually had less square footage than it did last year or previous years.
The exhibit hall.
The exhibit hall, sorry. The exhibit hall had less square footage this year than it had in previous years, which was a problem. Also, with the main floor sharing space with the main stage and just being separated by curtains, anytime anything was happening on the main stage, you heard it echoing throughout the entire floor. So it just contributed to the noise pollution, which was really difficult to begin with because I mean, any of these conventions is already a loud place. You start throwing that in with the speakers and the crowds cheering and yelling, and
which there was a lot of,
especially for Goldblum's panel.
That's right, because his was 11 Saturday morning.
Yeah, that one was loud,
and we were down because they were right next to the main theater was right next to Cosplay Alley.
Yeah. No, the main theater was.
I'm sorry, vendors. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it got so loud.
But we were over there.
Difficult.
We were over there when. Like, we were right next to it when his panel started.
And it was right next to Artist Alley.
That's what it was. It was next to Artist Alley. That's what it was.
Of course, all the artists really appreciated.
Yeah. Because we were over there talking to, we're talking to Jake.
And that just, you could, and he was at the far end of Artist Alley, and you could hear it all the way down there. And just for context, if you were not at the convention, the far end of Artist Alley was
a good distance,
about 3/4 towards the opposite side of the convention floor from where the main stage was. Exhibit floor, convention floor, same difference, honestly.
I guess, yeah.
So I
just feel like correcting you. I would have thought it was better, in all honesty. You're probably going to agree with me because I'm always right. You should have put Cosplay Alley up where the main theater was. Get them away from where the signings were and everything like that. Like, that bottom floor should have literally only been for signings and for photo ops. Because that created a lot of congestion trying to get in and out of Cosplay Alley and trying to get to all the stuff that was going on down there with the overflow from the signings. Now, granted, they had the smaller people, the people that they figured would have the smaller lines facing Cosplay Alley, just to kind of give you guys an idea. Autographs were on this side, one set was on this side going towards the wall, one set was on this side going towards Cosplay Alley. So they put the names on this side that they figured would have the smaller...
The voice actors.
Right. That they figured would have the smaller, I guess, spillover into Cosplay Alley.
And they actually gave a pretty wide space in between.
Right.
So it did help.
Which was nice, but like,
it helped.
In all honesty, man, you almost could have even flipped those. Put the theater down there, put Cosplay Alley up here. So like, now you just have the Q&As and you have the autographs and the photo ops down here, and then you have your exhibit hall stuff, so like your vendors, your cosplayers, all of that up here. Sure. That would have been a much better layout.
And at least that section had the option to be physically cordoned off by walls.
Right.
And so it could have been better insulating for sound.
Right. See, I told you.
Sorry.
I told you would agree with because I'm always right.
Meh. But the...
Yeah, I think it would have been a better idea. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. If they had flipped them, like if you'd have done all of the guests, like all of the stuff with the guests in one section and then all of the vendor, artists, other stuff in the other.
Honestly, it would have been better overall though if they had just grabbed C Hall and used that for the main stage.
Yeah. And then I guess just sectioned it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean, frankly, using any element of what they used for the main exhibit floor this year as part of that whole thing was always going to be a problem.
Right.
So it shouldn't have been done in the first place. I mean, last year it was difficult when the main stage was set over in the ballrooms just past A Hall.
Yeah.
It was better when the main stage was the arena, but clearly that's so much space they aren't going to pay for that if they don't have to.
Because, dude, I think like
that's true.
That year that they did that, dude, I don't even think they filled it up halfway.
No, I mean it's unfortunate, but I mean it had the space.
Yeah, like why not utilize
and if they had used it better, it could have filled it up easier.
I mean, but, they probably could have afforded it and not paying Affleck.
We'll not get into that one.
I still I still can't believe that number's right? Like, we know for a fact that number's right.
It is, and we're not going to discuss that publicly.
But like, that's fucking insane.
Oh no, it is.
Especially for what they got out of him.
Oh yeah. So the gist is,
I wanted to yell, "You was the bomb in Phantoms."
Like literally 50 other people did.
Damn it!
Sorry. So yeah.
Like when I was saying that to people, they were just giving me this blank look of like, "What are you talking about?"
No, it was a popular thing.
If I would have paid for his autograph, I would have gotten him to write, "I was the bomb in Phantoms, yo."
Oh, I know you would have.
He probably would have been like, "Get your shit and get away from me."
The overall issue here was that.
Well, that's a great segue into our next beef.
Originally, we were supposed to have had a reunion panel for Back to the Future.
The greatest time travel trilogy of all time.
Well, are there any other time
That is not the damn point! Not the point. Fine, I'll say it. One of the greatest trilogies of all time. Yes. 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 Better than the prequel trilogy.
Even the third.
Yes. Better than the prequel trilogy. Better than the Hobbit trilogy.
Well, that's easy to do.
Yeah. You know what? It was just as good as the original Star Wars trilogy. Fight me. Fight me.
The overall issue was that the reunion panel was supposed to happen. Michael J. Fox had to cancel last second,
right?
And so they were able to pull in Ben Affleck. That was initially a great idea, but then, aside from having to pay an exorbitant amount to get him there in the first place, which
we know the number, but we won't say.
No, it's not our place to say. But
holy shit.
He showed up, he signed autographs, he did photo ops, he canceled his Q&A panel, which in turn caused Jason Momoa to cancel his because they were supposed to be doing it together. And
as far as we understand.
As far as we understand.
If somebody knows something else and we're wrong,
please tell us in the comments, but that's
as far as we understand,
that we've been able to piece together.
Is that Affleck was in fact supposed to do a Q&A with Momoa, because Momoa's was supposed to be Saturday night. And Saturday was the only day that Affleck came in for.
And then Affleck canceled that, and so that became just a really expensive opportunity to come sign pictures, get photos, and make money for like very little effort, which is unfortunate, because if anybody would have had potentially interesting behind-the-scenes stories to provide, it's someone like Affleck.
Dude, I would have asked him so many questions about like what made him want to get behind the director's chair, what directors he pulled from, because Kevin Smith talks about it all the time.
Yeah,
I mean, Kevin Smith talks about it when they were doing movies together. He's like, oh yeah, I always knew Ben had an eye for that shit.
And I mean, especially when you have someone like Affleck who doesn't do conventions. Like, he doesn't do conventions. He showed up to San Diego.
Doesn't get along with the press.
He showed up to San Diego and he did the big panel for that, and then but would never stick around for like autographs.
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah, that's not what he does.
No.
Which is respectable, but the opportunity to have had a chance to have done a Q&A with him would have been really special for everybody that was attending the convention.
Right.
The fact that it got canceled and was so last minute felt very disingenuous, honestly. It felt very much like we as the fans were getting something taken away from us that we had really hoped for.
Right.
So
now people are going to still sit there and say like they still did the Back to the Future panel Friday night,
which is fine, you know.
It wasn't the same.
Yeah, without Michael J. Fox.
No.
And it's nothing against the other actors that were there.
No.
From the stuff that I've seen posted on social media from that, it looked like it was a fun panel.
Yeah.
Honestly, it did look like it was still fun. It was missing that last little bit that Michael could have added that would have completed the wow factor. Mm-hmm. That's it. It is absolutely nothing against any of the other actors. We love and appreciate every one of them. It's just unfortunate that Michael had the scheduling issues that he did. Hopefully it was just scheduling. Either way, though, it's, you know, it happens. It's a thing. We can appreciate that he tried in the first place and that the others did. So it's okay. Affleck was definitely disappointing there, and that does lead into the other element, which was normally these things have a lot of names that you can come and see, a lot of autographs you can get, a lot of variety of names.
Or not get because they capped somebody's line before you could get back over. And
Mike missed out on getting Paige O'Hara's autograph. For those of you who are not massive Disney fans like we are, that is the voice of Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Once again, another person that really doesn't do conventions, and he missed out by this much. What was it, this much?
I'm gonna stab you. And you're gonna leave that in to show how mad I am. But there is hope, because Brad and I will be going to Salt Lake City in September.
No.
Yes.
You'll be going.
No, you're coming with me, damn it.
You'll be going.
Because her and Robbie Benson are going to be there, so I can get the autograph of Belle and the Beast. You're going.
So yeah, we had.
But like he was talking about,
we normally have a lot more guests that show up to this.
I don't want to interrupt, but the guests were different this year. They were going for something. So they had Paige O'Hara. They had you're gonna have to help me, Jasmine and Ariel. The voices for Jasmine and Ariel.
Crap. I'm blanking.
I'll do it.
I'm blanking. But yeah, no, you were the one that pointed out that it did seem like there were fewer names for the guests that were there, as well as the...
Linda Larkin was Jasmine, and then who was...
but yeah, we had... there were also fewer variety of names. Like, normally you have names from all across the spectrum of fandoms.
Jodie Benson. There you go.
There you go.
So all three of them were there.
Yeah.
Which apparently, because Paige O'Hara talked about it at her Q&A. So, so Paige O'Hara talked about it that like because you're kind of part of the Disney fraternity or sorority or whatever.
Sorority. They're women.
That's true.
They're women.
That's fair. That's fair. That like they all kind of run in the same circle and they've all become very good friends. Yeah. So it kind of naturally happened that all three of them kind of were like, oh yeah, let's go ahead and do it together. Like Linda Larkin was in Paige O'Hara's Q&A, like just in the back hanging out, and she brought her up on stage and they talked about the fact that like they've known each other for years and blah 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 blah. So like they very much were going for a different demographic, I guess, bringing them in. But like you had Chris Sabat, but like you said,
there's normally enough variety of fandoms represented by the guests that there's always something that people are interested in checking out. Always somebody that they want to talk to, and more importantly, plenty of them are usually willing to give Q&A panels, so you have a variety of types of panels that people can attend.
Right.
However, that was also something else because they went for different types of guests this year.
Right.
Fewer of them seemed like they were up for Q&A panels, so there were just fewer Q&A panels.
Like I know Chuck Norris did his, but like his was the first one on Sunday morning. Yeah. That was another thing that felt off, was the timing of the panels felt off.
Yeah.
Like Charlie Cox from Daredevil was at 11 a.m. on Saturday. No, I'm sorry, he was at noon. Jeff Goldblum was at 11 a.m. Saturday morning.
Yeah, normally the big names, the popular names are given prime spots.
Right.
They weren't this year. At least not necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just very weird. Overall, it felt very weird, and I don't know. Like,
say weird one more time.
Weird.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just really got to hammer that point home. Sorry.
Yeah. We honestly don't know if this is just because they were intentionally trying to do more pop culture-y guests. So
kind of cast the bigger net thing.
Yeah. So that they were getting guests that don't really do those type of Q&A setups.
Right.
Which, if that's what they're doing, okay.
That's cool.
That's understandable.
Right.
But a good chunk of the appeal of these conventions is the chance to be able to go to these Q&A panels and be able to get the behind-the-scenes stories. And
they had half the kids from Stranger Things there.
Yeah.
They had Gatton Matarazzo and then a couple of the others there.
Yeah.
Which that would have been a cool one to go to, but I mean, if you're going to get half of them, like go for all of them.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you are just left feeling kind of empty. It's nice to see. It's cool. It leaves you feeling like something's missing.
Like that's a really good way to put it. Is it very much felt like, I remember looking at the schedule when we got there Friday, because we just kind of did a quick little walk through Friday to kind of get an idea of the layout, see where everything was, and then Saturday we were really going to kind of hit it hard. And I remember looking at the schedule for Saturday and not being blown away by anything.
No.
In terms of panels, Paige O'Hara's at 2 o'clock. 2 p.m. Saturday. Yes, I remember.
Of course you do.
Yeah, D102. Shut up. Like, I specifically remember that one because that was the first one that I looked for. I was like, she leaves Saturday. When's her panel?
Yeah.
They didn't even actually, now that I think about it, like, they didn't even have a printable schedule for Sunday. They didn't even have
they had printable schedules that you could pick up for Friday and Saturday, and then they either ran out for Sunday or just didn't print enough, so you either had to use the digital version or go and take a picture of one of the physical copies at the information desk.
That's super weird.
It was very weird. Like, there was definitely...
Say weird one more time.
No. There were definitely...
Weird.
Certain elements of the convention that felt very underbaked.
Unorganized?
it felt like some of the ideas were there. They were just kind of underbaked. Like they need a bit more time to mature and come to fruition.
Sure,
like
that's fair.
For example, the gaming area with the tabletop games and the video games and all that, even the laser tag. It was a great idea, but it felt like it
not great execution.
Yeah, it felt like it needed just a little bit more time for people to think about it and really develop that idea into something more tangible.
Right.
Because as it was left kind of lackluster because of it. Just how meh it was allowed to become. Because the convention owners saw that it was something that needed to be there. They just didn't think it needed to be made prominent or invested in.
Right.
I don't get why, because it's a popular element at other conventions.
Yeah.
Just they didn't do it well here.
And they've done it in the past.
Yeah.
They've done it well in the past.
Yeah, like the first year that they had this convention at the Dallas Convention Center before Fan Expo bought it.
Right.
Or I guess right after, before the name change. The tabletop area was on the main floor, out where everybody could see it, access it.
And you could literally like just come and go. Like I remember that first year, like people brought their Magic decks and they were just walking in there, hopping on the tables and playing each other.
Which is
like
fun.
That was
cool.
It was fun. That was awesome.
It was great.
That had a very
same thing for Pokemon.
Same thing for Pokemon.
I think there was maybe a couple games of Yu-Gi-Oh.
That was when Yu-Gi-Oh kind of made its comeback a little bit. And I remember it had a very comic book store feel in terms of like just coming and going, playing at whatever pace. Like you could literally just walk up. Like I think I legit remember just standing there watching, and some dude was like, "Dude, I've got a spare deck if you want to play." I was like, I've never played Magic, dude. He was like, "Oh, I can teach you." I was like, "Nah, I'm good."
Well,
like I appreciate it. It'd be cool, but like I'm not gonna just walk in here, get taught something, and then get my ass handed to me.
And that's the thing. These conventions were started by the comic book fans. And they started off with a very comic book store feel to them. So the fact that this particular convention, being as large as it has strayed so far from that feel without successfully heading in the other direction, which would be the San Diego and New York Comic-Con feels of embracing the pop culture in a way that allows more participation and enjoyment of it. Is just kind of, once again, it's weird.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be going towards pop culture, but you're going to make it more of a product rather than an experience and activity, then it just kind of feels bland.
Right.
So, I mean, and that was something else that you brought up about the lack of comic book vendors.
Yeah, I thought it was very... There's that word again. Thought it was really weird.
Do you see a theme going on here?
Like this year felt off. We were talking about this, and like when we were coming up with our idea of what we wanted to talk about in this video. This is the first Fan Expo or Fan Days or whatever since we've started going and since we've really started covering it. I didn't buy a single trade or a single comic book.
No, and I think I saw maybe two prominent comic book vendors.
I remember
and a couple that were like kind of hidden in a corner that weren't given like the wide wall display.
And I remember last year, this comic book store was here. 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 Here were the trades. Here were the single issues. Trades, single issues, trades, single issues, trades. Like buy two, get one free. Buy one, get one half off. I remember spending at least an hour.
Oh yeah.
Like jumping back and forth, just finding stuff. I remember spending 20 minutes because Aaron was trying to find one of the collections for The Walking Dead. So we were literally just sifting through everybody's collections of Walking Dead trades, just trying to find them.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're being totally honest with ourselves, it could be easily explained away that the reason why there weren't as many comic book vendors there, or at least not as many prominent ones, was because to be able to get a booth at all was just exorbitantly expensive this year, and to be able to get a large booth and with the big wall displays, those were so much more. Like the little booths were like for like artists, those were going for like 10 or like 20-ish thousand. If you want one of like the really big ones for the wall displays, that's going into a budget that most comic book stores are not going to easily afford.
Let's just say that the company that I work for,
one of the bigger booths at the convention,
I personally knew the person that set up the layout for the booth and had to pay for it. When this person told me the number that it was, I looked this person in the eye and said, "Are you serious?"
Yeah. Well, something that you had said that was brought up in that conversation was that they didn't see the booth as a way to make money. It was just a way to have really great advertising because they were never anticipating making back how much it cost to be there.
They specifically said that they brought stuff in that we as a company weren't moving a great deal of, but on top of that it was all items geared towards the guests specifically that were there that weekend.
Yeah, and if you're
which isn't necessarily a good idea.
It's not bad. I mean, if you're trying to recoup costs, which are already going to be difficult to be able to pay for in the first place,
especially with what they paid for it.
But here's the problem, though. When you're looking at the comic book stores and the smaller vendors, when you're trying to tailor your prices towards businesses that can afford to say, look, if I have to eat 10 grand that I know I'm never going to recoup simply because it works for great advertising for future business, you're not going to be getting the small vendors because they can't afford that. Your corner comic book store is not going to be able to afford to say, sure, I'm willing to drop several $1,000s that I never intend to see back simply to get marketing out there. Because unfortunately, while some of the big brands may be able to get great marketing out of it, if you're a comic book vendor, your store doesn't necessarily get a lot of marketing because when there are multiple comic book vendors there, people don't usually pay attention to what store are you representing. They just pay attention to, did they find a good comic book at your booth, and they forget the name that was attached. And so you can't really say that it's a great marketing opportunity because for them it's not. They need to be able to make their money back, and if you outprice them from being able to come, they can't. There's no way to make up for that.
Well, and we not to make ourselves sound bigger than we are.
No.
But we personally knew a couple of the people on Artist Alley and a couple of people that had booths, and they were talking about how much they spent without going into too much detail.
Yeah.
And they talked about the fact that it's starting to trend towards the absolutely ridiculous in terms of how much they're being charged.
Well, I have a couple of artist friends from out of state that I've met through these conventions. I actually met at this convention several years ago. And both of them haven't been back to this convention in several years because they're coming from up north, so they already have travel expenses. They already have the expense of being able to get their merchandise down here, and then to be able to also afford the cost of the booth as well as anything else that they would need while they're in town. It makes it way less attractive than it would be to, say, go down to San Antonio or go to Miami and go for a small to medium-sized convention there that the travel expenses are the same, but it costs less to get in so they can make their money back.
I think that's enough for the negative, right?
So to be able to go more into the things that we think should be done to fix these issues that we've seen work properly at other conventions. I mean, the obvious one, and we even touched on it a couple times just now, was activities.
Give a shit to do.
If you're going to turn your convention into just one massive product that people have to spend money on, at least give them activities to distract themselves while they're there. Like San Diego.
Like getting tattoos. Ha 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 ha.
San Diego is the best example of this, where they have the convention, they have the exhibit floor, but then they have a gaming section to be able to check out game demos. They have stuff outside of the convention center where you have obstacle courses, you have laser tag arenas, you have just all these different things that you can do and participate in, so that even if you're going to be dropping several hundred or several $1,000s that weekend, you're not going to feel too bad about it because you got to do some really cool stuff. So it's easy to ignore the fact that, I accidentally dropped $2,000 on merchandise. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. But hey, I got to play some really cool games. I got to do some awesome laser tag, and this event that was going on during the convention were exclusive things that I know nobody else that didn't go to the convention were going to experience, and they won't get to experience it next year because they're going to do something different. So if you don't have that, people only can focus on how much did I spend. So Fan Expo Dallas, you need activities, you need fun. You need stuff to do.
They're never gonna see this.
Somebody could.
Yeah.
Maybe nobody high up, but somebody.
That's fair.
You need stuff to do.
Dude, I would almost be okay with them. Like, the laser tag was a cool idea. Like, why not just empty out all of Sea Hall and make Sea Hall like a big laser tag zombie apocalypse survival?
They turned it. Laser tag was in a tiny corner room that you had literally just enough space for a couple of barriers and the main base, and that's it. Which, once again, great idea, not great execution. So, yeah, a bigger space for more stuff would have been great.
Yeah.
Hell, if they wanted to use Sea Hall exclusively for activities, so like a quarter of Sea Hall would be laser tag, a quarter of Sea Hall would be some obstacle courses. If you don't want to go for like something Ninja Warrior, which would have been great because there are plenty of companies that are buying into that right now.
Right.
Contact a few of the local rock climbing gyms because they always have some kind of portable setups that they can take to these things and set up some kind of obstacle course for that.
No.
I mean, it's not hard. What else? We did talk about how the cosplay area needed its own section that wasn't just being shoved in a corner.
Right.
It needed more space to be able to indulge in that, because it wasn't just that it was cosplayers and people in cosplay that wanted to be able to show off their costumes as convention goers. There's so much more that can be done with that. Once again, going back, I hate to be the guy that says, well, you know, it used to be so much better, but the first year that they had it at this convention center, right next to, I think it was right next to the cosplay area, they had an entire section devoted to special effects makeup, where they had lessons and tutorials, and there were special effects makeup vendors that were doing stuff to the convention goers, where whether it was like putting like a really gnarly zombie bite on their neck, or you know, doing some other kind of weird prosthetics that people could stand around and watch be done. Stuff like that would easily play into the cosplay element. You would be able to get more artists in there, and once again, it involves participation from the audience. It's easy. So if you gave cosplay, the cosplayers more space, you could bring that type of stuff back in, so that it would not just be show off the costumes, it would be learn how to make the costumes. It would be learn how to do the makeup, learn how to do the prosthetics.
Whose panel did we
Meg
do
Turney.
last year? Thank you.
We went to Meg Turney's panel last year.
Dude, and
there were a couple others last year too, which was great. But there needs to be more. I mean, there's a massive cosplay community in Dallas that needs to be catered to, because they spend a lot of money. They spend an absurd amount of money. There needs to be more attention given to them, regardless of your opinion on cosplay, because there's enough audience for it that it would benefit the convention overall. It may sound like some of these are big things, but honestly, there's small adjustments that would make a massive difference. You know, a couple different vendors of this type or this type, bring in some vendors that are willing to set up an activity like this, or just lean in more into this community or this fandom, which automatically brings activities along with it. It's little adjustments that will make a big difference. And I know some of these things that we have issues with this year were there specifically because the convention owners were trying to save money, because let's be honest, Dallas Convention Center is an expensive venue. It just is. But if you bring in more vendors that can bring more money with them and bring more word of mouth advertising that will bring more people next year, you'll make the money back easy. You'll keep your profits. It really doesn't take much to make these improvements, and we would love to see it, because the stuff that we did enjoy about the convention was great. Honestly,
I had fun. I really did. I was worn the hell out at the end of the weekend. It didn't help that it was also WrestleMania weekend, so went home Saturday and I went to my buddy Andy's and watched NXT, and then went to their place again Sunday and watch WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great time. We got to meet some great people, have some great conversations, have a couple of really fun photo shoots with Charlotte, which the pictures will be coming soon for that.
I still hate you for that.
You'll find out why.
I still hate you.
We have behind the scenes video from that too, and Oh, that was fun.
God, I hate you. Like, so much.
Anyway,
we did an interview with her though at the end of the weekend. That was fun.
Yeah, so we got to spend quite a bit of time with her.
Too much damn time. Jesus. That child's
don't listen to him, Charlotte. You're awesome. We got a chance to really hang out quite a bit with Marla and Dee.
I don't think they know them by name.
MCubed and D Rich.
They were fun. Hanging out with Marla and D was awesome.
If you've been following us for even a little bit, you've probably seen Marla's interview. D, her interview's coming soon.
We got to interview her finally.
She was a lot of fun. And honestly, if you have a chance to be able to meet either one of them at the conventions,
do it.
They are just so much fun and very enthusiastic about literally everything that they're involved in. So you're never going to have a boring conversation. It's just it's just
a lot of fun.
A lot of excitement. And then we got a chance to be able to meet Mike Byrnes.
That was cool.
Also known as one of the best damn Supermen I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was a fun interview to do. That was a really fun interview. He was fun to talk to and hang out with.
He's cool.
We got to hang out with the guys from Roxas Studios.
Shane's just
I think that was me meeting Shane for the first time.
Yeah, I've met Shane before. So if you haven't seen Roxas Studios work, they're really talented. Shane, he's a fantastic photographer. I mean, just really cool stuff. So, but then like all the other people that were part of their group,
Heather,
the cosplayers, Heather, some of you might know her as Heather Novøcaine.
Shout out to her. She's awesome. She was fun.
Oh yeah, no, she
was the one that was like I'm gonna get a tattoo. You have to come back here and show us as soon as you're done. Like,
I'm really glad we met Heather because she was just so fun. You know, who else did we have a chance to?
Daylon.
Yeah,
Daylon, right?
Daylon.
That's how you say? Okay, yeah.
So
that was
awesome. Arthur Curry.
That was one of the best things ever.
And then
not Aquaman, Arthur Curry. You guys will understand when you see the video. Like that was one of the best damn things ever.
And then
it just like
so that was Saturday, and then Sunday he came in as Old Man Logan,
which was great. And we got some pictures with that. That was cool.
He was cool.
But like that was the funniest thing. Like we were just talking to him, and it was like, yeah, we were talking to Marla. He's like, oh, you guys know Marla and D? We're like,
also,
what?
By the way, awesome photographer.
Yes.
If you have a chance to look up his work, especially some of his pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
So cool.
That was a lot of, literally bumped into him and started talking, and then it's like, oh, we have mutual friends. Okay, that's cool.
Then
we got to talk to Jake.
Yeah.
Throwing back to
Jake Goodman, Tartarus, the Tartarus comic book.
From the North Texas Comic Book Show.
Really fun. Had a little bit of a hiccup with the official release of his book, but it's coming, and as soon as his first book can get everything done for publication, we'll be talking with him some more. And
he had the print.
Yeah.
So we got to at least see the print for the first issue and read a little bit of the first issue, which was pretty cool.
Oh my gosh. Like his
awesome.
use of colors is just so, I mean, it feels like the best parts of the 90s, honestly. Got to see Erica from Scarlet Muse again.
There you go.
And her mother-daughter Bulma was so fun.
That was pretty damn fun.
I mean, her Saiyan armor was so awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be able to see them going around, that was cool.
That was pretty awesome. So it was a good.
Yeah, we had a great time. And anybody else?
We were tired.
Anybody else that we have for any reason accidentally forgotten to mention you, we will be sure to bring you up in other videos because seriously, you guys are great.
Or just comment about how we suck because we forgot to mention you. And then we can just tag you in the video and then it'll all be good.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Right.
Yeah.
Word.
So with that, I think
that's
that pretty much covers everything.
Point,
so until next time, this is Brad and Mike from Dallas Geek saying, see ya.